Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Hot Corner. We are getting started with our fall ball series with fall balls wrapping up across the country, getting into previews for this season. I'm joined by my co-host, AJ. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. And we are lucky to be joined by special guest Drew Beam, QB1 of the Tennessee Volunteers.
What's going on, fellas?
Oh, we're doing good, man. How are you doing? How was fall ball? You glad to be done with it?
I'm glad it's over. It's always a grind, but it's a fun grind, so it's good to get after it and you'll work on some things. But I'm definitely ready to get into season, so one step closer now.
Well, good deal, man. We're glad you made some time to come join us. We appreciate it. So just wanted to kind of recap a little bit from last year before we get into this season. Can you talk to us a little bit about Omaha, what that experience was like?
Yeah, so that was my first time in Omaha as a player. I'd been recently as a fan when I was a lot younger, and so it was really cool getting to play in a stadium that capacity and that caliber in front of that many fans. It's just a different atmosphere. It's a very big league feel, and I love the atmosphere. I love just the amount of excitement around those kind of games, and then just the whole week, being there practicing at a different facility and stuff like that. Just that whole city is wrapped around that College World Series atmosphere, and it was a lot of fun.
So you came into the year. I mean, your freshman campaign seemed like the golden lineup coming through, and then the pitching staff is just as deep as you could want it, and then you come up a game short of Omaha, and then you start last season rocky, and it seemed like the nation as a whole was like, oh, this is a different Tennessee team, it's not the same caliber, and gave up on y'all. And then in my opinion, you were an extra weekend away from working yourself into a hosting seed for the tournament. What was it like in the clubhouse from basically the point where after that away tournament to start the year, just kind of recollecting, maybe even the Mizzou series, just kind of recollecting, being like, we still got a good group of guys here. We can go as far as we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. That my freshman year, I'll go back all the way into that last series, that super regional against Notre Dame. That left the worst taste in everyone's mouth that you can even possibly imagine. I mean, it was not what we all thought we were going to cakewalk through it. And, that's not the mindset that you can have and going into that kind of series. So we kind of had that going into the fall of we're not going to let that happen again. Like we didn't like that. So our goal is to get back and get past that. And then obviously you're right. That first weekend in Arizona, out west, it didn't treat us very well. We had some stuff to figure out with, losing so many guys from that 21 team. We had so many, I guess, it would have been 22 team. So many guys left and got drafted, and so many roles to fill. Had to figure some things out. Got into that Mizzou series and just got our butts handed to us, and so that was another learning point that we had to get to. And I think the switch in the season where we just kind of turned it around. We were 5-10 in SEC play, and we're like, man, we gotta, we're struggling to even think about getting into the conference tournament. We're like, this is embarrassing. Like we're out here playing baseball that is bad. It's just not good product on the field, and stuff. And just the team kind of had to mold together and pull one weight instead of everyone pulling their own. Selfishly, everyone just finally had to get on the same tracks and go the same direction, and most everybody bought into that, and that kind of got us going the right direction. We turned things around, and then I think you're right. If we had one more weekend series, we'd have pulled ourselves into a host spot, but. I think that team was resilient in that we just, we went into, Clemson, a really good regional there, and played that really tough game, went into the extra innings and stuff, and just kept fighting back. And then in Southern Miss, all the weather delays and thinking that we should be a host and stuff, we just couldn't let it affect us. And that was something that I think we were a lot better on last year, is we just kept fighting through things and pushing on. And we ended up getting to Omaha and faced a really good Skeens that first day. And so I mean, it was fun to get there. it's good to get a win, but got to keep pushing, and next year keep building on to that.
Yeah, so you mentioned how the Notre Dame series left a bad taste in y'all's mouth. How is what happened in Omaha this past summer? How's the team using that as motivation for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go all that way, and you just won one game in Omaha. Yeah, that's a big accomplishment, but at the end of the day, you're still watching that final series, that final 3 games, and the College World Series on your couch. So you're just like every other team that didn't make it. So yeah, you were there for a couple of days. By the time everybody else got to the championship game, you're sitting on the couch just like everybody else, and that's just not where you want to be. So I'd rather be in the dugout or on the mound for that last couple games.
Yeah. So you personally, with your development, you come in as a freshman, and it's Blade Tidwell and Chase Dolander, and you're coming in with Chase Burns, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think you always prepare like you're going to be thrust into the starting role right away, but I don't think the majority of people thought you would be the Sunday guy come SEC play. And not only were you the Sunday guy as a freshman, you showed out the entire season. And then last year, you continued to show out. But your strikeout numbers aren't as high as, what most people think of when they think of like an SEC ace. Yet your ERA is lower than a lot of other SEC #1 guys. Can you talk to us a little bit about your approach on the mound and basically how you necessarily don't have to miss bats to be effective?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in high school and stuff, most good arms, you can get away with throwing fastballs and stuff and just strike everybody out. And that's just kind of how you get through high school baseball games. And a lot of big arms do that, but baseball in high school is just a 7-inning game. You get to college and it's 9 innings. You're stretching things out more. And, I didn't, freshman year I came in. I mean, I got top 95 freshman year, which is good, but 92 to 94 isn't just missing barrels all the time. So you just got to, figure out how to, get quick outs, and that actually helps me get later in the game. You're getting 3 strikes on every batter count. Builds that pitch count a lot higher than getting first or second pitch quick contact and getting guys out. And I think I fed off of that a lot. And then for sophomore year, I kind of learned how my fastball plays and where I can get swing and misses when I need to. And I'm still working on that, still trying to perfect when I need to and where I need to get swings and misses. But it's just never been part of my game. And I know people talk about it, but strikeouts they're just a number. If you're getting people out and keeping them from scoring, I don't really see the big part of it. They're cool. They're just like homers. But if you're scoring runs on the offensive side, who cares how you get them? And that's how I think about it as pitching. If I'm getting guys out, why does it matter if it's a strikeout, a pop-up, or a ground ball?
So, Drew, what's been your main focus this offseason for your personal development?
Yeah, big part of things has just been the weight room. Really pushing myself this year. I've always pushed myself through college, but I feel like this year I'm trying to reach for that extra gear, getting to that final gear of just bearing down and getting after it every day. No off days, no days where I'm like, all right, I'm only going to give it 50%. Really trying to give it all every day. Really make the most of this year. On the pitching side of things, really just learning how my pitches work off of each other. If I throw a fastball in this location, how do my off speeds work off of that? Where should I start them, and how they really tunnel well together. And so I think that's a big way and a big part of my development this year is going to be in.
So with preparation, everything, you were facing guys like Blake Burke, and I know you say you don't face Christian Moore that often, but you're facing SEC hitters during your live ABs during these fall scrimmages. How much better has that made you, knowing that, hey, if I make a mistake to these guys, they're going to show me that mistake in a very public way?
Yeah, these guys going day in and day out and facing a lineup of this caliber. You got the new guys like Billy Amick and Dalton Bargo. You got Peebles behind the plate there on the switch hitting side. I mean, you're facing guys who want to get after it and are hunting the ball every single day. So just once you get in there and get into season, you've seen these kind of caliber lineups over and over again, to where you kind of figure out how to dissect them and know that there's no batter in the lineup that you can take lightly. Every batter you got to go at in the same way as you say the 2-hole or 3-hole. I mean, everybody's got the ability to put one out, and everyone's got the ability to get on base. So that's why they're in college. That's why they're playing in the SEC. So every at bat matters, and that's what helps a lot in the fall, is going after these guys. And it's just, batter after batter is just another powerful, good hitter.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the new guys, new faces that you got in the dugout. On top of those big name transfers, you guys brought in a really talented recruiting class. How is the have you seen the chemistry in the dugout kind of come together this fall?
It's been good. This new class, transfers and new guys included, really want to get after it, and so they're pushing some of the guys that have been here. They're making it really competitive, and that's what good teams need. It's just knowing that the guy behind the starter is pushing the starter to get better, while he's getting himself better. And so it's just a constant competition that gets everybody just improving their game, and that's what it's been a lot this fall. We've gone through some kinks, but we're getting there, and I think it's been a really competitive and healthy fall.
Yeah, give us some, either transfer or freshman arms to look out for that are going to make an impact for Tennessee this year.
Yeah, so I grew up with him. The Jacksonville State transfer, AJ Kazi. Me and him played summer ball growing up. We call him the Southern Sidewinder. He's lower slot, really gets after it, and dude works his tail off. So he's going to be somebody to look out for next season. He's really going to make a really big impact for us. Freshman that's been really pitching really well for us, and Coach really likes his presence and stuff, is Derek Schaefer, Arizona kid. He's got a good fastball and good off speed to work off of that, and he really just holds himself well up there on the mound.
Drew, why don't you kind of give us the Cliff Notes version of this whole pitching staff as a whole? How have you guys, how do you see you guys coming together this spring and kind of roles developing?
Yeah, I feel like we're a puzzle that you can put a lot of pieces in a lot of different places. Not just one piece fits in the one spot it needs to be. I think there's a lot of guys that can do a lot of different roles for us, and I think that's going to be important as we go through and kind of figure out who's going to play where in our staff lineup. And I think it's just good. There's a lot of guys that can be starters, a lot of guys that can fill relief roles, and we got a whole lot of guys who've got some grit that I know can come in on the back end and close things out. So it'll be interesting as the year goes on and as we get closer to the season, how the pieces fall in order and who's where. But I'm excited about this group. They like to compete, and it's really competitive at practice.
So I think outside of the fans of y'all's immediate rivals, about any college baseball fan wants to play for Coach Vitello. What is it like actually getting that opportunity, and what is he like behind the scenes that we don't see on camera or on the field during those in-game interviews and everything?
Yeah, that's the funny part, is what you see on camera and what you see in the interviews is exactly how he is to us during practice. So he's just energetic. He's honestly just a little kid just like us. I mean, he just loves the game of baseball and loves winning. So he's having as much fun as we are out there. He's in full gear at practice every day. He's always out there energetic and just getting after it. He loves it just as much as we do, and he wants to see us succeed. So he's just an awesome man to play for, and the rest of the coaching staff is just like it. I mean, they're all there wanting the best for us as ball players and as men. So I mean, they're just great for us. I mean, they've molded me into who I am, and they've helped out on the baseball field, off the baseball field, and that's just what you love to come and play for. It gives you a lot of confidence that the man who's calling the orders wants to win as much as you do and will go to war for you.
Drew, you guys brought back a lot of really talented position players, especially on the infield. Seems like there's been a lot of contentious battles there. Who have you seen really emerge among the position players?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition. There already is. I don't really know who's going to play where. That's the funny part about it, is everybody this fall has been kind of moving around. very versatile, and that's what Coach V is going to have fun with over the next few months, is figuring out where he's going to place what puzzle piece. But that's the fun part, is we've got a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions in the infield, and they've been really competing at every position to make each other better. So it's been a fun carousel seeing guys play different places, and I think it'll be fun to see where things fall. I don't know. I think if I sat down right now and tried to decipher who was going to be where, I'd be 70% wrong. So don't really have a too insight on who's going to be placed where, but yeah, it's going to be fun.
Do you have a specific game or a series circled on your schedule for you personally?
The next one up, whenever we go to Texas and Dallas. So that's the one we're looking forward to.
I know Coach Vitello loves that answer.
Oh yeah, stapled into us. It's the next game is the most important one, and always will be.
There you go. So Drew, what are some of the things you guys have really tried to focus on as a team? You know, you mentioned personally some of the stuff you've tried to work on, but what are some of the things as a team you guys have tried to work on this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, so last year, like I said, we kind of had that problem with we weren't fully bought in completely as a team. So like everybody wasn't pulling the same weight, and we've kind of tried to eliminate that problem as early as possible this fall. So team bonding's been real good. It's been a big key and a big emphasis this fall, is making sure we're a team and just trying to, have fun together. And as much of a competition it is, we're having fun and playing the game of baseball that we've always loved to play. So it's been a really energetic, really fun fall for us player-wise. And so just getting after it together and just knowing that we're all in this as one unit moving forward has been a big emphasis. Another thing is just, I guess we haven't really been working on it, but the offense has been pretty good this fall. I mean, the hitters are coming after it, getting early work, just really trying to, increase numbers, increase production as over the last year. And so I think that's going to be a big thing. I think the big, just a big emphasis on the whole fall has been competing, just every day competing against your brothers and your friends out there, and just trying to make each other better has been the big emphasis.
So this upcoming season, I'm going to two-part this and see if you can avoid giving me the answer that I know you're going to give me for one of them. Personal success for you and team success. What do both of those look like this season?
Yeah, so personal success is anytime I go on the mound, I put my team in the opportunity to win. So whether I'm, getting out there and throwing 4 innings, or if I'm going complete game, I just want to put my team in the opportunity to have a chance to win the ball game. So I would like to win every single game that I pitch in, and I'm going to try to make that as possible as I can. And then obviously team goals is for me personally is I want to win every game. I don't care. I know I can't pitch every game, but I want to go out there and be as the best teammate I can be, the best talker in the dugout, whatever I can do to help my team win every game. Be the first team to ever do that in college baseball would be pretty sick. But just go win it all. Just win every game possible, every series possible, and be the last one standing when it comes to July.
Always good answers. And so, in your 2 years as a starter, you've played in most of the SEC venues at this point. What are some of your favorites?
Wildest stadium has been LSU. That I think it was Friday night where there was 13,000 fans. I think they broke their attendance record. Obviously, that was a pretty rowdy place to pitch in. Hottest place I've ever pitched in was Florida. Even hotter than Hoover. That was a sweaty one there. And then I'd say probably coolest stadium outside of Lindsey Nelson, because I love Lindsey Nelson. I think it's a great stadium. Probably be Baton Rouge down there in LSU. I think that's got the cake there. Just the amount of fans that they stick in there. Everyone's rowdy, drunk Cajuns. They get after it.
So I was at the 2022 regional, and with y'all, Campbell, Georgia Tech, and I believe Alabama State. Um, and it seemed like any ball that went in the air was threatening the warning track or even further. How is it possible to pitch in that ballpark and not let that get in your head to some degree?
Yeah, I mean, like it goes back to pitching in the fall. We face it all fall. Anytime the wind's blowing out, a pop up pretty much gets out. So you learn to pitch here. There's no someone gets all of it and it goes 405 and you catch it on the warning track. No, they catch all of it and it's going over the batter's eye. So our hitters love it, but our pitchers, you kind of learn to really compete and take every pitch seriously. You're always going after a batter, trying to get ground balls, trying to get the weak contact, and just I feel like makes us even that much better than we go to other parks. And you get a little more leniency, you get a little further back on the fences, and you got a little more room, and it usually helps you out. But yeah, you just learn to pitch all fall with it, and at some point it just becomes a non-factor. You don't even think about it anymore.
Are you excited to see some of the improvements that they're making to Lindsey Nelson? I know they announced those a few months ago.
Yeah, they've been working on it day in and day out. They're getting there. The concrete's in. They're putting rebars and stuff everywhere. So it's been a little fun with the practice and stuff because they've got machinery running right beside the foul lines, and we've got fences running down the middle of our field and stuff. But it's been fun to work around that. But it's really cool to see them working on it and starting to see how it's going to shape out and look like. But I'm excited to add a few thousand more fans to Lindsey Nelson because they've been filling it out and asking for us to make it bigger. So really cool to see how much more rowdy it gets in there and how much the fans love that new area.
So we see in your background the USA jerseys. How has that experience, being able to play with just the elite of the elite, made you a better baseball player?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go play for those teams, and it's just fun to get to kind of meet these guys that you're supposed to hate, and you do hate whenever you're playing against them. You realize there's some pretty cool dudes, and you just, we play ping pong until 2 a.m. together, and we're, playing for our country, and that's just a lot of fun. We had a great time the last 2 years playing for them, and made a lot of good buddies that I still talk to, and I think that experience has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. Just getting to, a bunch of guys, like I said. I mean, like Cags down at Florida. We hate Florida. I still do. I'll always hate Florida. But you go play with them, and I mean, we're pretty good buddies now. And so it's just funny. You make friends like that. I know Seaver King at Wake Forest. I mean, guys like that. I mean, you hang out with them. You just make buddies from all around, and it's pretty cool to see all these different college guys and hear stories about their colleges and how they do things in the fall and in the seasons and how they're weightlifting, what they do. You just kind of hear a whole different side of things that you've never heard before and get to kind of compare and see how things are.
Well, Drew, I think AJ, unless you got some other questions, I think I've exhausted mine.
I could sit here for a day and ask Drew questions, but we have kept him long enough. He's generous enough to give us this time late on a Monday night. So thank you very much, Drew, for your time.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all for having me on.
Yeah, looking forward to this season. Looking forward to to watching you guys. You guys are always a ton of fun to watch. You guys love to have fun on the baseball diamond. You make that makes the sport better.
I appreciate it. It's going to be another fun year. Hopefully we can keep driving the ball to the park and keeping balls in the park as pitching staff. So
appreciate Drew Beam for coming on, talking some Tennessee baseball with us. Sounds like they're going to be knocking it around the yard, and maybe they got some things to figure out on the pitching staff. What do you think, AJ?
I mean, I think the talent is absolutely there. Drew Beam, Xander Sechrist, AJ Russell, there are some guys who have had starting experience with them last year who you could put those three guys in a rotation right now and it'd be top end of the SEC, and that means the country. And then you have experienced guys back behind them. I think the depth is where it becomes a question, but it's Tennessee. It's Coach Vitello. They just crank out pitching staff. They just crank out a pitching staff all the time. It's what they do. They can hang their hat on that, and it's going to be there this year as well. That's a guarantee.
Oh yeah, certainly they'll be able to pitch, but I think they're definitely going to be led by the offense, kind of the opposite of last year. They're kind of the ebb and flow, of college baseball, where you get 1 year led by the pitchers, next year's position players. I think this year they're definitely going to be led by their offense. And I mean, when you look at their infield, man, it is stacked. I mean, when you talk about Denton, Amick, Moore, Burke, Peebles behind the plate. I know I'm forgetting some guys, but they got a ton of talent there to try and mix and match and get their best, the 9 best on the field.
Yeah, and Coach Vitale is going to have a great problem, and that's having a ton of good guys and not enough lineup spots. You'd rather have that problem than vice versa. But in the age of the transfer portal, it's going to be interesting to see, is there enough to go around playing time wise? It's always going to work itself out. Guys are going to get hot, and the guys that get hot will have the playing time. Opportunities are going to open up. People are going to get banged up. There's depth is needed, especially in an SEC grind. But that infield is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. So we'll transition now. We'll talk a little bit of LSU. So LSU is probably, is kind of in a similar spot to Tennessee in that, they lost a lot of talent on that pitching staff, or they lost some talent on the pitching staff, but more talent on the position player side. I mean, Paul Skeens is gone, Dylan Cruz is gone, all of the big names, but then also glue guys like Cade Beloso, Gavin Dugas, that played major roles for them on in their runs to the national championship. So we're going to see a lot of new faces, but that pitching staff looks pretty stacked. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Thatcher Hurd his freshman year at UCLA, he was dominant until he got hurt. And he came into LSU, I think, underwhelmed for the beginning of the year, but towards the end of the year, kicked it into gear, and we saw a dominant Thatcher Hurd that really provided some depth and gave them that third starter, which coming into the tournament, it was, okay, you got Paul Skeens, and then you have Ty Floyd, but after that, who do they have that can go the distance? And Thatcher Hurd showed he can be that guy, and LSU needs him to be that guy this year just to set a foundation to build off of from the pitching side.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And then, you bring in Luke Holman, Gage Jump, Justin Lohr. That's a really good transfer class. And then, just from what I've seen in the fall, I went to see their scrimmage against UL Lafayette. And, some of the younger guys, that were freshmen last year, you didn't really see much of. I really made a jump, guys like Aiden Moffitt. Aiden Moffitt is a name to watch out for on that pitching staff. I think he's got a real shot to be in that starting rotation. He's got, he's from the right side. He's up to 97 with a wipeout slider. And I mean, that plays anywhere.
Yeah. 97 with a wipeout slider. I don't care if you're lefty, righty, ambidextrous. That will always play. I'm curious to see their young guys on the offensive side of the ball, because there is so much talent there, and they had so much talent last year, and it seemed like that young talent didn't really transfer to success. They were carried by their older offensive guys. You had guys like Brady Neal and Jared Jones, who a month into the year, people were like, these are our next freshman studs coming through. And then really by the Omaha run, neither were getting significant playing time. Paxton Kling, toolsy off the board, couldn't really make it transfer into success as a freshman. Part of that's playing in the SEC, but these are guys who are going to be put in position to have starting jobs at the beginning of the season. I want to see what they do with that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Neal got hurt last year, so that's why you didn't really see him much at the end of the year. And then he re-injured himself in summer ball, so he wasn't really doing anything this fall. So it'll be interesting to see how Coach Johnson had a press conference today and said that he's going to be back fully healthy by the time the season starts. But he's definitely going to be a key piece. Jared Jones, he had moments, but yeah, he struggled with some of the SEC pitching. But he's going to be. I mean, he's pretty much locked in at first base, so he's going to be relied upon to take that next step. And Jay likes to say that the biggest jump that players take in their program is from year 1 to year 2. So we'll see. Yeah, and you mentioned Paxton Kling, and then they bring in some transfers. Mac Bingham from Arizona, who played for Jay for 2 years, and now he's back over here. And then a guy, who's freshman last year who played sparingly, but has been tearing the cover off the ball in fall ball is Ethan Fry. I mean, he's been leading the team in exit velo. He's got 4 of the top 7 exit velos from this fall. And he's a guy to look out for.
Yeah, I saw with him, it was during just the scrimmage, like just the actual scrimmages, he had 8 balls at 100 miles an hour or greater exit velocity, which it's hard to have like 5 in the number of at-bats that he's getting. Just with limited action, you're trying to get everybody reps, and he has just been tearing the cover off the ball. It's a case of, did he really develop that much during the offseason? Because like you said, that is people make huge jumps from freshman to sophomore year. They've already put on the college weight. They've been through a grind before. They're not getting tired towards the end of the year. They go and have like a summer ball regimen in play or not, depending on how exhausted they are. They have a good training regimen set up. I know Jay Johnson's taking care of his guys. But I'm always curious, because we see every year each team has their fall Americans. I know watching South Carolina the past few years, I can tell you about 4 or 5 who coming out of the fall, it was like, this guy's turned a corner. This guy's going to be a dude this year. And then you get to the 3rd week in the season and you're like, where is this guy? I thought he was going to be, not that I'm saying Ethan's going to be even close to that. I'm just always curious, to see if that can translate to when you're not playing local competition or not playing your own guys. Put an actual umpire squad, actual score on the scoreboard, and make the games count. That's what I want to see him be productive there, because I think he could be one of the guys who makes a huge jump and not quite do a Charlie Condon, but definitely, put his name up in lights real quick.
Yeah, another name, but on a transfer that I know you're familiar with is Michael Braswell. Jay Johnson was really talking him up during his post-fall press conference today, talking about how he is locked down shortstop and they've completely reworked his swing, and he's made a big jump offensively. I know that was a big issue for him, down in Columbia. What do you think about Michael Braswell?
Yeah, I mean, this was a guy who was a all SEC freshman at shortstop, which is not easy to do. He was the first freshman to start at short in South Carolina for, I think, like 2 decades. He came in as a dude and was performing really well until he faced that Tennessee staff his freshman year, and then kind of got a welcome to the SEC moment with, here's 99 to 100, 2 straight guys, and then here's Drew Beam who can just pick you apart, and he did. And he settled back in, still ended up hitting close to 300, but bat speed was slower. He was banged up. He was, tired. His body didn't hold up like, happens to freshmen. And then sophomore year, doesn't win starting shortstop role because Braylon Wimmer swings over to shortstop, and you're not taking Braylon Wimmer out of the lineup at all. He's freak of nature. He had that lockdown, so he goes and tries to win the third base job. And then Talmadge Lecroy won that, just more consistent offensively. And South Carolina looked at their team and said, we need offense over defense right now. And, kind of left Braswell as the odd man out. When he had chances to perform, he came up clutch. He had a go-ahead hit at Georgia, pinch hit appearance, to give South Carolina the lead. There were multiple times where he came through. He had a clutch hit in the comeback against Missouri at home to keep their winning streak going and keep Missouri going the wrong direction. But it doesn't surprise me that he transferred out, purely because I understand you start as a shortstop as a freshman, and then you don't start outside of injuries your sophomore campaign. His swing needed a change, I think a philosophical change that couldn't be a quick fix. There was a lot of hitting to the opposite field, but no real drive, no real power. I think he had one home run his entire career at South Carolina, and I think that was like his first or second game. So the hit tool is there. He's a gamer. He's a guy I will always cheer for. But I think a change of scenery will do him will do him better than staying at South Carolina would have. Fresh start. Sometimes you just need to clear the mechanism and reset. And Jay Johnson and that group over there, I know, is helping him, build up any confidence he might have lost.
Yeah, I mean, he's performed really well. Just from I haven't seen laid eyes on him too much, but from what I've seen from the statistics, I mean, he's launched a bunch of several home runs and has really performed well. And Jay Johnson's had nothing but the highest of praise for him. And you know what, Jay Johnson knows a little bit about baseball, so I'll trust his opinion.
Yeah, usually if he says someone's good, they're good. If he says someone's performing, they're performing. If he says it's sustainable and we trust him, who are we to argue?
That's right. We'll see how it goes. Certainly he's got big shoes to fill with Jordan Thompson. I know Jordan Thompson had his issues, right? With errors. Maybe he wasn't the cleanest shortstop, but he was a 3-year starter at shortstop at LSU. And any previous guy that's been a 3-year starter at shortstop at LSU is playing in the major leagues right now. I mean, you're talking about, DJ LeMahieu, Alex Bregman, Josh Smith, who just won a World Series. There's Kramer Robertson, who got called up by the Cardinals last year. Those are some big names. So, I mean, if you can perform at LSU, like that, then you can find your way onto a major league roster. I mean, he got drafted late by the Dodgers, so we'll see what happens to him. But Braswell's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean, and the guy was a highly touted recruit coming out of Georgia, and they tend to look very closely at guys coming out of Georgia when they're projecting them. And Braswell picked South Carolina over Vanderbilt. It's not like South Carolina was the only one in on him. It was, he's got the tools. I believe his biggest benefit is going to be the mental reset and then a little bit of tweaking with the swing. But I have no doubt that he can be a productive member of that lineup. I think the only time you're going to look at LSU being in trouble is if you're starting to lean on him as a run producer, because that hasn't been his game, and I don't know if that's his profile. He's more of a table setter or a line mover. Get on base for guys like Tommy White. He's going to be a good defensive shortstop if he stays healthy, and I sure hope he does. I'm curious to see how far his offense has progressed under Jay Johnson.
Yeah, when I look at the position player group for LSU, you think about all the big names that left. I mean, we've already touched on a lot of them. And Trey Morgan being another one that left. Braden Jobear's gone. I think their outfield is stacked. I mean, we talk about Mac Bingham coming in from Arizona. Paxton Kling, looking for him to kind of make that second-year jump. But defensively, that glove plays. He is a speed demon out there. I think you probably see him in center field. Then we mentioned, Ethan Fry's been tearing the cover off the ball. Look at him for maybe a corner outfield spot. And then a guy
Josh
that's
Pearson. Josh Pearson's been there
Josh
before.
Pearson. And then Jake Brown, a freshman two-way player from Sulphur. And he has been turning a lot of heads, and he's going to push for some playing time in the outfield and on the mound, this spring. That's going to be exciting to see. The biggest question mark, though, I see on this team is going to be at second base. You lose Gavin Dugas, and third base is locked down by Tommy White. We already talked about Braswell, shortstop. Jared Jones has pretty much got first base locked down. Catcher's going to be a three-way rotation between Neal, Travinsky, and Milazzo, so you got a ton of experience and depth there. But second base, they've you mentioned Josh Pearson in the outfield. They've actually been playing him a fair bit at second base, and Paxton Kling has gotten some play at second base too. And then that's going to be the biggest question mark on this team is going to be who's going to lock down that second base position.
Yeah, and you say that's the biggest question mark. I'm interested to see how pitching roles develop, because we've seen in the past, coming in last year, we knew who LSU's starting rotation was. At this point last year, it was just known. This year, I know Thatcher Hurd. That's the one guy I can tell you with confidence. He's going to be most likely their Friday night guy, but he is going to be him and Luke Holman are the two who I would say have 95+% chance to be weekend rotation guys. Who fills out that Sunday role, third starter role, and then who are their go-to guys in the bullpen, and how do they organize that, and how much give and take is there early in the year?
Yeah, that's going to be, fun to watch here coming into the spring. And I'm sure that even, beginning part of the season, for SEC play, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of different combinations there. I mean, like you said, I think Hurd and Holman you can basically Sharpie them in to the starting rotation. But yeah, that third starter, is it going to be, transfer like Gage Jump? Is it going to be, a young guy like Aiden Moffitt? Or maybe Nate Ackenhausen, who proved he could be a starter, in Omaha. Griffin Herring, who was a freshman last year, who showed you he's a lefty with 4 pitches, and he can be a starter in this league. And then I can't even believe I've gone this long without mentioning him, but Cam Johnson, the big time lefty out of freshman, who is the highest rated recruit to ever make it to LSU's campus. He beat out Dylan Cruz for that honor. So just to kind of give you the idea of the level that this guy's at. I mean, I saw him pitch in the scrimmage against UL Lafayette, and he pitched 2 innings and just about had 7 strikeouts, except for a guy got thrown out at second. He pitched 2 whole innings and almost had 7 strikeouts. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. But he's up to 97 from the left side. And, those guys just don't usually make it to campus. So it'll be really interesting to see where they slot him in, if they maybe a midweek guy, maybe he's in the starting rotation to start the season, or maybe he's just, a really, trusted bullpen arm. You'd love to bring a guy like that out of the pen, right?
Yeah, with hard-throwing freshmen, especially, he is built for it, like physically. He can handle how hard he throws. Now, he's 6'5", 240, according to LSU's website, and he's probably put on more muscle since then. He can handle throwing 97. I always imagined freshmen being brought along with lower innings, at least to start the year. He's definitely has the ability to go and basically pitch his way into a starting rotation spot. I see him initially starting out of the bullpen at just letting them, eat for an inning or two, and then kind of building up maybe a midweek start against, non-conference competition later on that weekend. That way he's not, you're not burning him for an important series. But it's going to be interesting to see because, again, the one thing you can say about LSU, there's talent. The talent's always deep. It's can your guys who throw 97 for strikes, because 97 for balls doesn't do much good for anybody. And so that's what I think Cam initial role is going to be, is out of the bullpen. And I think he's going to be a weapon. Definitely has the potential to start. I just don't think he'll start there. I'm curious to see who is going to start there for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, but Jay Johnson's not afraid to start a freshman. I mean, you look at Chase Shores last year, but maybe that's a bad example because, he ended up needing Tommy John. But, we'll see how that all rolls out. And we just got joined by a guy we were just talking about, Mr. Griffin Herring. How you doing, Griffin?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Doing good, man.
We were just talking about guys who could potentially be competing for that Sunday role for LSU's pitching staff, and we threw your name in there as someone who showed that they can provide length, as you did during last year's campaign. What's the current rotation projection stacking up? We know we got Hurd and Holman, but what's that third spot looking like?
We've got so much talent. Pretty much what we've been told is that all three spots are wide open. And I'm sure that a lot of coaches say that, just kind of incite some competition among the guys, but we really have enough talent that I think that we have, 4, 5, 6 guys that are competing for each of those roles. So I honestly couldn't tell you.
Well, Griffin, we appreciate you jumping on for us. You guys just wrapped up the Purple and Gold World Series. How was fall?
The fall went well. I think that getting a couple starts was good. Pretty much all of my outings were starting, so I enjoyed that. Getting more into that kind of routine. Healthy, it's kind of all you can ask for.
Yeah, and I mean, coming off of the high last year of winning a national championship, as a freshman, you come in, the roster's loaded. You know that your team absolutely has the potential to do it. And then not only to have your team do it, but to be a guy who they lean on in critical situations. I mean, I think of 4 or 5 points last year where LSU was kind of, as a team, teetering. And what jumps in my mind is your 3-inning stretch at South Carolina when you lose game 1, and then game 2 you come in and shut down a lineup for 3 innings that was hitting everything in sight, and let your guys get back in it, split that series, and then continue to roll. Not to mention your performance against Wake Forest. Like, it's to do that as a freshman. How did you prepare to be in those moments?
I think that I've always kind of enjoyed the bigger stages. That's kind of when I've always pitched the best, I guess. And just knowing that the team needed me, the guys were kind of relying on me to come in and perform. That really motivates me, and just kind of let the adrenaline, let the fans kind of push me to not think too much and just kind of let my stuff work. That's been what's worked for me the best so far in college, is when I stopped thinking and I really just let my stuff go.
How do you think your experience in Omaha and those other situations that AJ mentioned, how do you think that has improved you, as a player?
I think it's definitely improved my mentality going into games. Especially when you're facing guys as talented as we do every weekend in the SEC. You really can't take a pitch off, and that was something I really learned, especially from last season and in those big games. You face a guy like Brock Wilken, you can't just throw the 0-0 heater down the middle. It's just everything's got to have a purpose. Everything's got to be maximum focus, and that was kind of a big step for me coming out of high school, was learning that.
Yeah, when we were talking to Drew Beam earlier, he said you can, in high school, if you have great stuff, you can just shove it down people's throats basically, and they can't do anything with it. SEC, it's an entirely different ballgame. You throw that OO heater as hard as you can, it's turning around harder than it came in.
Definitely.
But as a freshman, to do what you did, primarily out of the bullpen, how is it different preparing? Like you said, you've been working out as a starter, or getting those starting reps during these scrimmages. What's the preparation like in comparison to coming out of the bullpen?
You just have to really trust your I'm losing the word for it. Trust your routine. That's a really big thing. That's something I learned from guys like Skeens and Ty Floyd, that just having a routine that you go to every single game day is really important, and it kind of gives you that peace of mind before you go in there. When you're coming out of the bullpen, it's kind of easy to get your peace of mind because you're just warming up, and then all of a sudden you're in the game, and there's not really a lot of thinking to do. But I like to watch kind of some old video, visualize success. We have great mental coaches that come in and help us, and that's something that's helped me a lot. Just kind of visualizing before outings, having success.
So, Griffin, what have been kind of the main things you've been focusing on for your personal development this offseason?
Definitely gaining weight. Lost a little bit of weight throughout the season. Looking to get back up around that 205, 210 range. I think most of the season last year I was sitting at probably like 192, 195. Just kind of getting more durability. Added a little bit of velo this fall. We have great strength coaches, great nutritionists. So that's been a main goal, kind of physically. Also a couple mechanical things, just staying closed a little bit longer. That just gives my hand a little more time to get out there, kind of minimize some of the arm side misses, and tightening up fastball command.
So you come in and you're facing, as a freshman during your fall ball, getting ready to play. The hardest lineup you faced all year was your own. What's it like preparing against just elite competition, knowing that, hey, if I can get guys like Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan and Gavin Dugas out, that I'm going to have success against anybody?
It's a huge confidence booster. You kind of look back at a couple of the good outings that you had in the fall, and kind of no matter what team you're facing, they're probably not as good. And this isn't a knock at any teams we face, but probably not as good as our lineup. And then having those guys behind you too, you look back at them, and it's definitely a confidence boost when you go up there. You kind of you're good enough for the league. You're good enough to compete. So just big mentally.
So, Griffin, who have been kind of the some of the newcomers, whether transfer or freshmen, that have really stood out to you this fall, whether that be on a pitcher or a hitter?
I'm gonna go pitchers first. Kind of a trio of lefties. Gage Jump has been electric. Really good fastball, good breaker. He's going to do a lot for us this year. Cam Johnson, obviously, really, really highly touted prospect. Big dude, throws it. He can throw it. He's going to be a huge weapon for us this year. And Cade Anderson coming off an injury, he's been looking really good. All three of those guys are definitely going to make huge contributions. Also, another lefty. I'm kind of keeping the trend going, supporting my guys. Justin Lower has been really good as well, transfer from Xavier. Hitting wise, I'd say Michael Braswell. He's had a really good fall. He's a great defender, and he's been hitting really well. A couple homers. I think he's got to be hitting over 350 for the fall. Just really good.
Yeah, so we've seen guys or teams in the past, have these amazing lineups, and then, first pitch is thrown and it just doesn't coalesce. They don't feel like a team. What has LSU done this off season? Since y'all dogpiled to continue to be a team and kind of build up this year's squad and not just we want to be last year's squad.
I think from the start, from day one, we established a really good locker room culture. That was a really big thing for us last year. Just kind of everybody really knowing everybody. I think is more important than people realize. Because I've been on teams before where you don't really know. Like, there's guys on the team that, like, you know them by name, but you don't really know them. But we try to get together. I know I've got, in my apartment, we've got a pretty nice setup. We got a good TV, so we have 5-10 of the guys here just about every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday night watching football. Got a fantasy league, so guys always arguing about that. I think just having a good kind of I guess it's honestly just culture, and that's what Coach Johnson creates is a no drama club, and we're just all like actually friends.
Yeah, we were talking to Ethan Petrie over at South Carolina last week, and he mentioned that one of the big things that they do together is play Fortnite. Are you guys Fortnite guys?
So it kind of differs. I would say we're like half and half on Fortnite, and then guys playing the new Call of Duty. It's definitely a big thing for us. We play a good amount. I would say I'm getting notifications all the time of people texting in our group chat who's getting on, who's on right now, stuff like that. So definitely team bonding.
So last year, who did you get the chance to learn from? Not only baseball stuff, but just how to be a college athlete, how to carry yourself, how to set a routine, how to have success at this level. Was there anyone who you walked in their footsteps or sought out for guidance, or maybe sought you out and was like, hey, I'm going to show you the ropes. This is how you have success?
I would say Riley Cooper. Riley Cooper and Nate Ackenhausen. We're all lefties, we kind of just always were paired around each other, and throughout the season, in hotels everywhere, just always hanging out together. He really, both of them really kind of showed me the ropes. A little bit more on like the mental side, like just what it takes to go out there and like just not care. Like, you care, but like not caring to an extent where you're not kind of messing with yourself. Then obviously just watching the way Skeens went about his business. I mean, was just a professional in the college locker room, and I think he had that effect on a lot of guys in the locker room, kind of showing you what it takes, and obviously that came to fruition for him, which none of us were surprised in the slightest.
So you got a new pitching coach this year, Nate Yeski. How is he different than Coach Wes Johnson, and what is he kind of what are some of the things he's told you to help improve your game?
I would say he's different than Coach Wes Johnson, just in that he doesn't use we use the analytics, but it's not so much of a driving force. I think things are a lot more feel based, which I actually enjoy. I enjoy talking to the catcher. That's a big thing. After bullpens, go ask your catcher how things were moving. After inter squads, go and ask batters that you faced, kind of what they saw. Which, I wouldn't really think to have done that last year. I would think it's kind of an awkward conversation. But when it's just a bunch of guys who are trying to make each other better, it doesn't have to be when you just realize the ultimate goal. I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question? I blanked.
Just what are some of the things that Coach Yeski has worked with you on to improve your game?
Some stuff mechanically, keeping the front shoulder closed a little bit longer. We've been working on killing some velocity on my changeup, just because a third pitch is so important, especially facing an SEC lineup for the third time. didn't really get a chance to throw it too much last year, or just wasn't really much of a need. But we've definitely been developing that. And then kind of team wise, he's really emphasized us being like as a staff more of a cohesive group. Like we all will go out and throw at the same time. Everybody goes into the weight room at the same time, as opposed to things kind of being a little bit scattered. Which I think has helped us as a staff. I think that we've been pitching really well this fall, and everybody really cares about each other and has each other's back. And I think that was kind of the goal of just keeping us as kind of a pack all the time.
Are there any places, just looking ahead at your schedule this year, any places you're excited to go visit just for stadium atmosphere? Maybe highly touted matchup. Any place you have kind of circled on your schedule that you want to visit?
I would say there's 3. Tennessee for sure. I've heard some good things about Tennessee, that it gets pretty rowdy. Arkansas for sure. Also, I've been to the Arkansas stadium, not for a game, but just going to visit my sister when she went there, and it's a cool stadium. They get after it too, pretty good. Talking to a lot of the guys like Christian Little who have kind of been there and pitched in that environment, they said it's a ton of fun. Huge adrenaline boost when you go out there. Everybody's yelling at you. And then opening series against Mississippi State, I think the dude kind of speaks for himself. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, Griffin. So, what are some of the things you guys are doing to maybe try and avoid some of the national championship hangover? We've seen the last 2 years, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. They won the national championship and then they miss the tournament the next year. What are you guys doing to try and break that trend?
I think the biggest thing is not ignoring the fact that it's there. Coach Johnson's told us multiple times, like don't go into this season thinking someone's trying to take this away from you. Like, nobody can ever take it away from you, but the only thing you can do is go and take the next one. So I don't think anybody's really concerned about it. Obviously, we had a lot of turnover. We did great in the portal. We got a bunch of great players, and not just great players, but great dudes too. To really just keep the tradition and the culture that we established last year going.
So who kind of filled in as, the locker room leaders when you have guys like Skeens and Cruz and Trey Morgan, guys who have been there for a while? I know Skeens wasn't there for a while, but like you said, the way he carried himself, like he just led, he had that presence. Who has kind of stepped in to fill those voids that when those guys leave, sometimes teams don't have the guys step in?
Hayden Travinsky and Alex Milazzo kind of have been more of the vocal guys. Obviously, they've been here for a while. They know how to go about their business. On the pitching side, I would say that Thatcher does a good job of kind of just showing kind of the same thing as Skeens, just showing the professional approach to things and the way he goes about his business. He's got his routine really down. He just really puts a lot of care into everything he does, and I think that's admirable, and I think that guys pick up on that. I've tried to be a guy for the freshmen that they can come and talk to. Me and my roommates, we try to invite them over, hang out with them, talk to them at the field, try to kind of make everybody feel like they're a part of the team the way they did for us last year, just because we kind of know what it takes to the kind of performances you need out of new guys to really make the deep run that you want to make.
So Griffin, with all of the the big time bats that have left, who in the lineup when you're on the mound, who in the lineup kind of not scares you, but maybe a little more intimidating, the one you're like, I better not miss this one.
I would say Kling Paxton's got my number pretty good. He took me deep earlier this fall, so obviously, know he's a great player. But Hayden Travinsky too. He doesn't really swing it at good pitches. It's where you throw that slider in the dirt 0-1, and there's just never a chance that he was even going to think about it. It's pretty, it's kind of defeating when you're up there. I feel like threw a good pitch. Bear Jones, really intimidating presence in the box. He's got light tower power, and I would say Braswell's been a really tough out this fall too. You see him in the box and you don't. I don't want to say this the wrong way, but like
he doesn't look like a power threat. He doesn't inspire fear.
You don't see him, taking you over the fence, but then you look up and he's hit like 3 home runs this fall, and I mean, that kind of sneaky pop is what makes guys dangerous.
Yeah. So one guy who doesn't have sneaky pop, according to all the statistics and everything we're seeing just out of camp, is, and correct me if I pronounce his last name wrong, Ethan, is it Frey or Fry?
Fry. Yes,
Fry.
sir.
So Ethan Fry, I mean, he has been just demolishing baseballs. What has it been like? Because he didn't, contribute much offensively from the starting role. I think just because y'all were so deep, you didn't need him to. What have you seen from him, last year to this year, where all of a sudden he is doing this to baseballs on a regular basis?
I've seen his at-bats get a lot better. I think that the power was already there. I know he put on some size in between, like especially last fall and the season. He's a really big dude, really strong. But I think that his pitch selection last fall is kind of why he wasn't hitting as well as he should have. But they've definitely been, Coach Johnson and Chief have definitely had him back there working on it, and he's been getting his pitch, and when he gets it, I mean, he can hit it. I don't know if y'all saw the little graphic with the top exit velos of the fall, but pretty sure he was about 4 out of the 10 on there. So impressive.
Yeah, it was just his own personal. It was just his own personal record book for the fall, with a couple other names sprinkled in.
Pretty much. But he's definitely going to be a contributor for us this year. I think our lineup's a little deeper than people think. We've got some guys who are going to come out and maybe not surprise people. They're great players, but they're going to perform.
So Griffin, why don't you give us one personal goal for you for this season, and then the team goal for the season.
A personal goal for me is to have a sub 3 walks per 9. I think that's kind of we try not to set too many number goals, I guess, just because you can get caught up in that kind of things. But walks for me is the biggest thing that I want to tighten up. Just getting ahead, probably first pitch strike percentage. I don't know a specific number, but definitely over 66%, over 2/3 would be big. And team goal, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. We want to do it again.
Got to get that repeat, right?
Definitely.
Well, Alex, I don't know if you have anything else, but I'm going to let Griffin go enjoy his Monday night and try to catch the Eagles-Kansas City game. And, maybe he's missed some fantasy football group text conversations while he's been joining us. So thank you very much, Griffin. Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Griffin, thanks for hopping on. We'll catch you later.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.